Hello, everyone. We're back, and it's 6:20. E, reconvenience to open session. F, announcement of actions taken in closed session. None at the moment. G, presentation, number 1, local indicators.
Thank you, Madam President. At this time, I'd like to ask our Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services, Ms. Elisa Ramirez, to the podium as she will be presenting our LCAP local indicators report.
Any public comments? Not there? Oh, two? Yeah. Do we have any?
We do have two.
That's so we can get
President.
get them out of the way. You know?
You're saying to do the public comments first?
Yeah, if there's a way, if we can make a motion to move them up,
Yeah.
at least one, that way they,
I'll
you know.
second that, so we can.
There's a motion in a second.
Motion by Mr.
Well, Mr. Calderon, and I'll
Calderon,
second.
second by Mr. Alvarado. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. We're gonna
Sorry
go
about that,
ahead.
Lisa.
Move to Mrs. Public comments. H, comments from the public. The board will take any and all comments from the public related to an item on the agenda or any item on the district business that is not on the agenda. Number 1, Mrs. Daniela Vega.
Oh, now it's on. Hi, everyone. Nice to see you again. Daniela Vega, labor rep with CSCA. I came in here to speak about the renewal of the contracts for the assistant soups. I think we're glad. One of our more consistent partners is Mr. Guerrero. And we need consistency. If we don't have the same administrators here, we start over. And it just makes things difficult. And he's been a great ally and partner with us. I do have concerns about Mr. De La Torre has also been a great partner, but I know that in the item, his contract's being proposed with like an increase, or whether it's a step increase or just an increase in general. He hasn't been with us for a year yet. So, does that mean that our classified folks should also get a step increase before the year is up? That only happens after a year has gone by, right? So, but generally we're excited for them to continue to be with us. Again, we like the consistency. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Alexis Rangel.
Not that tall. Okay, my name's Alexis Rangel, and I just was looking over the agenda a couple of nights ago, and I just had a few questions. I've come here a couple of times in regards to cheerleading and the funding and so forth. I did get an email from Mr. De La Torre asking for more information. I sent that, but I have not received anything in response to that. That was a while ago. So when I was looking at the budget, which I was unfortunately unable to be here the last time you had your meeting where you went into more details, I'd just like to know how the district allocates the sports funds. Like, where does that come from? I'm specifically interested in understanding where the district budgets, where the funds for the sports program come from, how they're distributed. I understand that each school has their own budget and they're going to disperse it how they want. But it would be helpful if you guys were able to point out the funding of the sports programs, whether the district allocates a specific amount of funding to each school for sports programs. And obviously, I know I would go to the school for this, but to look into how each sport is funded, because in our cheerleading program, we know that there's an exorbitant cost associated with the program, and I feel like the district itself should do something to offset the cost to parents. It shouldn't be a program that is just for kids who have the money to pay. We have our competition schedule for next year. So hopefully there will be no issues with buses for the girls and the fees that we're gonna have to pay for those. Last time I came here, I mentioned the cost, not to say not to pay for them, but to see how the school district can help offset those costs. Our girls obviously are competitors. They wanna do their best. And unfortunately, we weren't able to go to cheer camp. Hopefully it wasn't because I came up here and brought these concerns to the district. We definitely want the administration to work with our coaches. It's a little bit difficult for our coaches because they are not district employees. So I'm not sure if they're familiar with the process that they have to go through. And that's kind of why I'm asking for all of this information, so that I, as a parent, can maybe help them so that we can get this program, you know, to where it needs to be. I only have 26 seconds. I did have other things, but that'll be it for today. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we get Mr. De La Torre to speak with us?
Sure, Mr. De La Torre, can you meet me with Miss Alexis right now?
Thank you.
So you want to go back?
We're gonna go back to G presentations.
Okay, good evening, Superintendent Jimenez, President Magallanes, trustees, and members of the public. Today we have a presentation under the LCAP. My name is Elisa Ramirez. I'm the Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services. And so it's a little bit lengthy, but I'm gonna try and go through it very in general. We're not gonna go through all the details. It's more for your awareness. All of this information is gonna be posted in the California dashboard in detail. And let me see if this is working. Yay. So the local indicators is a measure that every district has to present, and the part that we present to you today is the locally collected data, which, like I mentioned, is going to be put into the California dashboard. We measure progress. We have to report it to a regular school, a scheduled public meeting prior to the 1st of July, and normally we have to do it at the same time that you adopt the LCAP. And the results are posted in the dashboard. The dashboard usually comes out in September. There's two types of indicators. I've come before you along with other of my team members and presented you data on the SBAC, on suspension, chronic absenteeism. Those are state indicators that are measurable in numbers. The local indicators, which are the ones in red on the right, are reflection tools or narratives or surveys that we have to give out. As a district, we have a choice in options as to how we want to present it to you. So I will be sharing with you how our district selects them. So they're basically 5 different indicators: priority 1, 2, 3, 6, and 7. And I'm going to go into details in the next slides. And how we're measured or graded in the dashboard is, if I submit it, and I present it to the board and I submit it before the deadline onto the dashboard, it's considered met. There is no grading, there's no evaluation. It's did you comply, and put it in the dashboard. If I don't do it, whether I don't present it to you guys or I don't insert it in the dashboard, then it's considered not met, and then the third level would be not met for more than 2 years. So the first priority, the basic conditions and school, we have to look at appropriate teacher assignments, sufficiency of instructional materials, and facilities in good repair. Okay? So we used to calculate priority 1, and now the state automatically pulls the information. So the information that was given to us for last year is, as a district, we had 384.8 teachers, and of those, 87.3 were cleared to be appropriately assigned. If you look at the comparison to the state, we are above the state and we're also above the county. So why is it that we only have 87.3%? It has to do with our vacancies or if our teachers don't have a clear credential. So for example, last year, we struggled with securing special education teachers. You know that we haven't been able to get a band teacher. Any CTE teacher who has a different type of credential, they have to take an English learner waiver course that you've also approved in previous board meetings. So those also don't count as fully credentialed. Or any new teacher that's going through the program. Okay, so we're not 100% because some of these items. So the middle row right there, that's our sufficiency of textbooks. On October 12, 2023, I brought you a resolution that said that all of our students had access to instructional materials. So the way they have it posted here is how many of our students do not have access. So that's why we have 0%, because every student has access. And in the bottom, 96.56 of our schools are ranking on good or exemplary in the FIT tool. This is the Williams visit that we do at the beginning of the year. We have 139 deficiencies this school year at the beginning of the year. This is how the schools ranked. And the reason we're at 96%, the only school that ranked a little bit lower than good, ranked fair, is William Moreno Junior High School. Many of the deficiencies here had to do with restrooms, concrete structures, playgrounds. For example, William Moreno, they looked at 4 different playgrounds. Well, obviously at the secondary we don't have playgrounds, but we have basketball courts, we have tennis courts, and we have the fields, and they are all in dire need to be repaired. Okay, and it's facilities needs that we need to address, and therefore their scores started going down. Over time, you see how we've gone down. Our lowest point was in 21-22 when our schools were closed. There was plenty of time to be able to fix a lot of the repairs. And then compared to last year, we went from 123 to this year 139.
This is Williams?
Williams visits, yes. Let me go back, yes. The FIT tool is what we call the facilities section of it. The instructional portion of it is they see if we have the materials in front of every student. The second priority is the implementation of state academic standards. For this one, we use a reflection tool, a survey that I send out to every single teacher to complete. And it depends on their content area. The way they score us is 1 for exploration all the way to 5 to full implementation and sustainability. 4 is full implementation. Okay, the difference between 4 and 5 is the sustainability. So the first questions that are asked has to do with professional learning. Do we provide professional learning on the most recent academic standards? So as you know, in ELA and math, we've been working with our standards through the partnership with Orenda. And we've been doing this already, we're in year 3. However, we still got a score of 4, which is fully implemented. At this point, we should be in sustainability because we've been doing it. And we're working towards our science and social science, and that's where we score a level 3. And so we know that work was still pending. In instructional materials, do we have the most updated, recently adopted academic standards? Every materials that we have are the most recent academic adopted standards. So even though they're the most recent, as in general, our teachers gave us a score of 4 instead of a 5 because we are up to date in our adoptions. But just to give you some data, the most newest adoption came, I believe, from social science, and we adopted in 2021. For the science, we adopted in 2020. Math was 2015, and that adoption has now expired. Usually it's a 7-year adoption. But it's not any district's fault that adoptions haven't come out. The problem is that the state hasn't come up with the most recent framework. Once they get that framework ready, then they still have to send it to the vendors to prepare the materials, and then we begin with the adoption. So they were so delayed that it might be until 2026, 2029 for the ELA for us to start adopting. So it is the most recent one that we have, but it is outdated by The next section was implementing policies or programs to support staff, identifying areas where they can improve in delivering instruction. Again, you see a 4 for the ELA and 4 for math, which is where we've been working with. A 3 for the ELD. We have been working with designated and integrated ELD, but we still had a score of 3. And then the science and the social science, those are coming up in the next couple of years with our partnership with Orenda. Other content areas also give us scores about how they're implementing the academic standards. So we have the CTEs, we got an overall score of 4. Then the next 4 was world languages. Right below that was health education and physical education content standards. And the visual and performing arts is where we have a score of 2. And we've had plenty of conversations in different board meetings how we're trying to work with our schools with the funding that's coming for the visual performing arts. And we hope that once we start with that process, our scoring is going to go up. Success and engaging in the activities related to teachers and school administrators during the prior year. So identifying professional needs for groups as a whole, for individuals, or for teachers who have yet not mastered, we've got a 3 in all across, okay? So those are things that we need to work on. 3 means that we have initial implementation. 4 means full implementation. So our goal is to get to at least a number 4 in next school year. So what are the things that we're doing? We continue to promote our Ed Services goals that we want to improve Tier 1 instruction, that we do want all of our students reading by 3rd grade, and that we reclassify our students as early as possible in elementary. We're continuing to do AVID strategies. We are we are working with our technology department so that any work that comes even out of the technology department is aligned to our state standards. We continue to work on common assessments, data reflection sessions, and updating our assessments that we do. We also continue to provide workshops and trainings or send people out to conferences so that they're up to date to standard trainings. And then we do have support staff like our intervention teachers and instructional coaches that are there to support our teachers in the classrooms. We have learning walks that our administrators conduct so that they are able to see what are some of the needs that we have to work on to support our teachers. And then we also send out surveys. The next priority is parent involvement and family engagement. So this is another tool that we have. And so we seek to, what we want is input from the parents and how we can promote more parent engagement. So for this tool, we invited our district advisory teams. Most of them are parents that are presidents or have some role in the school site council. Our DLAC parents were there, and anybody is invited, but the majority are people who usually are involved, okay? And there's 3 different places that they provide scoring. One is building relationships between school staff and families. The other one is building partnerships for student outcomes. And the third one is seeking input in decision making. So the rubric is the same as the one that we do for teachers. It's from 1 through 5. And this is how they rated us. So for developing capacity for staff to build trusting and respectful relationships, we scored a 5. So we are sustaining it. Creating welcoming environments for our families and community, we scored a 5. Support staffing to learn more about the strengths, cultures, and languages is a 4. One of the things that they told us is that they wish that when we translate materials, because everything is translated, but sometimes they say that the translations are difficult to understand. So we need to work on our translations and perhaps make sure that we have the level in which the language we're using. It's always recommended that we use the 5th grade language for our community because of our community needs. Even the LCAP is supposed to be rated at a 5th grade language. And then to engage in two-way communications, they did tell us we have room to improve for that one also. In partnerships for student outcomes. So how do we partner with families to support our students? So in terms of professional learning and supports for teachers and principals, they scored us a 5. But when it comes to providing information for families, they scored us a 3. They want us to work with families and train them on what do the standards look like and how can they help them at home. So that's something that we need to work on. We need to work on in the next couple of months, we're gonna start preparing for next year for that. Implementing policies or programs for teachers to meet with families and students to discuss student progress. We know we have the open house, back to school night, and we have parent conferences, so we got a score of 4. They do want to see if there's opportunities for us to meet on one-to-one when it's not just those 3 dates. Exercising legal rights, they scored us a 5, so you send all the information. The only thing that they recommended was for us to do the cafecitos, which we've been holding this year, to explain some of those rights. The next one has to do with decision making. So building the capacity of our principals to effectively engage families in the advisory groups, we got a score of 4. Supporting family members to engage in advisory groups, we got a score of 3. And I'm gonna show you some data of why we had a score of 3 in some of these. It's just really hard to get our parents to go into that capacity. And then the policies and programs and implementing strategies to reach and seek input, we got a score of 3. And part of the concerns is that sometimes the language that is used in anything that comes from the state is very high level and it's intimidating to them. So how do we bring that down to their level? And then the last one is working together to plan and design and evaluate family engagement activities. We got a score of 4. So some of the information that we showed or shared with them was this year's California School Parent Survey. We had 1,000 responses. And one of the things we've noticed is that our percentages of how they strongly agree have grown. So for example, that the school encourages to be an active partner, we went up to 92%. School actively seeks parent input, we went up to 90%. And then feel welcome to participate at school, we went to a 93%. The one thing that we do want is we want more parents answering the survey. We have 1,000 survey out of a potential 10,000 parents. This is where we got a score of 3. Served on a school committee. We don't have a lot of committees, but one of the things that they notice is that our percentage of parents involved in committees, even if they're not official committees, should grow. So we've been able to grow. We went this year up to 12%, and that's why we got a score of 3. They want us to make sure that we hit higher percentages. Attending a school event, you can see from prior years that we've gone up to now to 75%. Attending general parent meetings has gone up to 83%. The yellows and greens was when we just returned from COVID, so that's why we were a little bit lower. And then attend parent conferences, we went up to 82%. So we have more parents participating. When I looked at individual school data, the percentages are very similar. There was similar growth. Next priority is the school climate. So are our schools safe? And one of the ways that we use or respond to this is we give the Healthy Kids survey. We get to pick whatever survey we want. We choose the Healthy Kids survey. We do it every year. And we have to provide a narrative. So in February of 2024, we provided the Healthy Kids survey to our students. We had 2,199 responses. And here you can see the numbers broken down by grade levels. This test, the survey is specifically for certain grade levels. So we don't give it to every elementary student. We only target 5th grade. At the junior high, we target 7th grade. At the high school, we target 9th and 11th. And then the NT means non-traditional school. Non-traditional school is Aurora. So Aurora gave this survey to every single student. There is an opt-out waiver. So if a parent doesn't want their child to answer the questions, they send out that form. And so we might not have 100% depending on the number of waivers that were submitted. So here's some of the data. What you see in parentheses in small size is last year's data, and the larger number is this year's data, February 2024. So in school connectedness, we saw a drop in 5th grade, and I'm gonna go down. In 7th grade, we went, 7th grade is different. I shaded a little bit of gray, so I will remember to tell you that last year the 7th graders did not take the Healthy Kids survey. We used Panorama data. So that 39% was a question in Panorama. It wasn't a question from Healthy Kids. And so just a disclaimer, because the numbers are gonna look very different. So they were at 56%. 9th grade, 52%. They went down 2%. 11th grade, 48%. And then Aurora last year did not have enough students to have a cohort, and usually for confidentiality reasons, they don't give us the data. So we have 51% for this year. if you see all across the grade levels, there was slight declines in how students perceive to be connected to school. Caring adult relationships, at the 5th grade, we went, again, a few percentages down. In 7th grade, there was an increase. In 9th grade, there was an increase. But in 11th, there was a little decline, okay? And then Aurora had a 47%. Meaningful participation, we stayed the same in 5th grade, a little decline in 7th grade, 1% decline in 9th grade, a couple declines in 11th grade, and then for Aurora, we had 16%. So our students, our perception is that they find that them participating in school is not meaningful. So our job is to find out why. Why do they feel this way, and how can we engage them?
Ms. Ramirez, just really quick, I'm sorry for interrupting you. You inadvertently, I think, mentioned a decline in 11th grade for meaningful participation.
Oh,
but
an
there
increase.
was a slight increase
That's
in
right.
11th grade.
Sorry, it went from 18 to 22. Thank you. Then we looked at the safety questions. There's tons of questions, and we select the ones that reflect what safety makes reference to. So, do they perceive their schools to be safe? In 5th grade, we went down 1% from 72 to 71. Again, 7th grade did not take the survey last year, and Panorama does not have questions related to safety, but this is their score for this year, 57%. 9th grade stayed the same. There was an increase in 11th grade. They feel safer at the high school, and then Aurora had a 53%. Experience harassment, bullying, and then you see in parentheses target of mean jokes. For 5th grade, they don't use harassment and bullying. For 5th grade, they use target of mean jokes. So that increased from 39 to 54%. That means that this year's 5th graders compared to last year's feel that there's more mean jokes happening to them. Then you have harassment and bullying that does pertain to the rest of the secondary grades. So you had 27% at the 7th grade, 24% at the 9th grade. So there was an increase of perception for this grade level compared to the students from last year. And then there was a decrease in 11th grade. So again, all across 11th grade, you see that it's actually the opposite than the other grade levels. And then Aurora at a 17%. Saw a weapon at school. I know that this question has been asked a lot, like what do 5th graders perceive weapons to be? Because that went from 16% to 28%. And sometimes, and I can tell as a prior elementary principal, I would tell them that anything that's sharp is considered a weapon. So if they bring a needle, right, it's considered a weapon. If they bring a toy gun, it's considered a weapon. So it's depending how we educate our students about what a weapon can be, it switches the perception. So weapon doesn't mean necessarily that they saw a gun or a knife. So it's harder to see how 5th graders are perceiving that. At 7th grade, 9% mentioned that they saw a weapon at school. 9th grade, 14%, that had an increase of 6%. At the 11th grade, just like the rest of the data, it actually went down. And then at the non-traditional or Aurora, it's 33%. The highest percentage is at Aurora. Use of alcohol. I think the question is if they had ever tasted or used alcohol or drugs. At the elementary, you see that it grew from 18 to 20%. 7th grade, 7%. 9th grade, 9%. So that was a 2% increase. 11th grade, here we did see an increase. Whereas the rest of the items, it looks like they had decreases. Now they do have an increase in alcohol or drug use. It doesn't separate it, but one of the things that we noticed is that there's a lot of vaping taking place. And then you have the Aurora at 16%.
These are people actually seeing either kids high or kids.
It's supposed to be if I have ever done it. So that's why some of the parents opt out, because they know that they're going to be asked these questions and they prefer that their child not answer these type of questions. Yeah, but this is if they have ever done it. And then I have to create a narrative. And so instead of showing you an entire narrative, I just wanted to show you a glimpse of what our safety coordinator does and what are some of the things that we have in place already in the LCAP to support safety. So you see from the very top, student and staff safety is always a priority, not only for us, but I know for the board. The district safety coordinator, you see everything that they do. We have a lot of safety programs that we've been put in place over time. And you see Raptor, Catapult, you're gonna see that there's an ALICE item on the agenda today. And then we're doing standard reunification. We have several educational programs to improve behavior. I know one thing I didn't add here that we do across all grade levels is the Too Good for Drugs program. So I'll make sure I add it when I put the information in the dashboard, but we do have that because we know that we do have students that are going through or having addictions. And then on the top, you see the personnel and facilities. In the LCAP, we fund all of these positions that you see there. And then we have trainings for them. And then the last priority is the broad course access. They want to know if our students have access to the courses that they want to take. So we identify what we use, we summarize the results, we identify the barriers, and then we have to use some of that information to inform the LCAP. All of these have to inform the LCAP. So the first one question they ask is, well, how are we tracking where students go? Do they have access? So just to give you a quick example, because I'm not gonna go over all the details, but let's say that in the past, if a student wanted to take an advanced payment course, there were prerequisites. Well, you have to have a B here or a C here. Now we took that off. There are no prerequisites. Everybody has access to AP. So we're no longer limiting students. That's what it means by this. So at the high school, they use Synergy, they use surveys, they inform students to remind applications. We have counselors with websites, letting students know what are the different courses that they offer. We have student interest forms. They have elective fairs. And then we look. And so, for example, one of the things that's new is that we're opening an HVAC CTE pathway this coming year. And then we're always looking at industry needs. So we might be closing one that it's not one that's there as a priority, but we're opening new ones. And then our NJROTC, we still have it for 4 different grade levels. Junior high does something similar, but at junior high, because of the size, there's not that many electives. So they go to feeder schools to see what students are interested in taking. If a student wants to take certain courses like AVID, there's like an application process to see if they're ready to take a course. But the different things that the students can take are designated ELD, AVID, elective, honors, classes. We have STEM, STEAM, we have MESA, we have advanced courses like Algebra 1, ASB, BAN, Intro to Careers. So there's several out there, but there's still some barriers that I'll discuss in the next slides. And then our students with exceptional needs, they are offered the same access, and we work with their case managers to ensure that they have access to those courses. Elementary is more simpler, it is limited. They have all the core classes, RTI. As I mentioned earlier, the one that we're still working in is how are we going to embed the arts. That's the one that is missing. And we do offer band for 5th and 6th only. Summarize the extent to which all students have access. And so that one, again, a narrative is just making sure that students are aware of all the CTE and elective fair offerings that are out there for the high school. Students have registrations form that they fill out. We make sure that the master's schedule matches to student interest. And if there's a course, for example, that doesn't have any students and there's no interest, then we'll work in readjusting our master schedule. And the readjusting takes place all the way to right before school starts. We're trying to educate our students about dual enrollment and concurrent enrollment so they can start taking some more college credits. And again, the mentioning of updating our pathways and whatever we can offer for our students. I think we're also doing another capstone for the medical terminology and the teacher education program. I don't know the names exactly, but those are 2 also that we discussed recently that are not there. But I know we're working towards that. At the elementary, we do have the RTI time, and that's when we do some of our interventions for our students. And everybody, again, receives the core instruction, and they have band. Junior high, they also have recommendations for students. We look at the career exploration courses at the electives that they have. If students are not in a support class like a designated ELD, then they're open to any of the electives that they have. Identify the barriers. So the barriers that were mentioned were that sometimes we need to have clear communication with students where we say it once, but the students don't grasp it. We finally have a 6-year learning plan. Took us some years. I mean, we've been using a 4-year plan, but now we have a 6-year plan that we want to start from 6th grade. And so we're implementing it this year, and that work is being led by Ms. Williams. So she'll be working with that this year. We need to find ways of engaging our parents. We offer at the high school, at the district level, through migrant. What is A through G? Come, we'll teach you what it is. And we usually get 5, 15, 20 parents. So that's the part that we have difficulty. We offer it, but how do we make them come? So that's something that we have to work with. And our parents are also, those that are very engaged are trying to help us, like, what else can we do to engage our parents? Some of the barriers is the limited number of elective offerings, because if you have many students that are English learners and they have to take a designated EOD class, well, then they can't take the electives. So we're being proactive. And one thing that we did this year is we worked with our high school to adopt a new curriculum that has the ELD embedded. So because the ELD is embedded, then the students do not have to take that extra designated ELD class. There will be some students that need it, like our more recent immigrants, but we find ways to work around some of these barriers. And then we have impacts of instructional minutes. At the elementary, we're very limited to what we can offer because our minutes are impacted. Coordinating the RTI times, the VAPA that I mentioned earlier that we're working on. And one of the most recent ones that the teachers or the principals gave me is that with declining enrollment, we know that teachers are being moved, and when they retire, we don't fill the position because our enrollment is declining. So there's a lot of teacher transfers from site to site, depending if there is a declining enrollment in a specific grade at a specific school, but another school needs a teacher, we have to make those changes. So they did say that this is also sometimes a barrier. And then what are some revisions, decisions, or new actions that we're doing? Here's a lot of things that we're doing. Most of the things I already mentioned. 6-year plans, the HVAC pathway and other pathways. Increasing our dual enrollment course offerings. Offering more elective fairs. Increasing parent communication so that they're more familiar with trainings or workshops that are coming up. Increasing articulations between the schools. So there's a lot of activities that have already been built into the LCAP. So all of these are supported through the LCAP. So in the LCAP, the other things that we need to work on is providing case management for our foster and homeless youth. In the new LCAP that was brought to you today for approval, we have an action already for that. Creating focused learning environments for optimal conditions and learning. That's the work that we're doing in partnership with Arenda. Alleviating some of those barriers that have to do with transportation and language and all of that. We've been working on that. Provide language acquisition support for English learners and monitor. It's already embedded in the LCAP. Continue to increase CTE and dual enrollment. Those are funded through the LCAP and other grant funds. PD is also there. And then looking at working with our senior director of college and career readiness to develop the portrait of a graduate, and then continue with AVID strategies. And that is the end. Are there any questions?
I have a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
And it's regarding the deficiencies. We have 139 deficiencies.
Correct.
Do we have like a correction action plan that we're working on, or do we have anything that we can refer to as when these deficiencies are being met?
So that same day that we walk, the principals are already putting the deficiencies in the program that we use, which is School Dude, so that the work orders are put in place. If there was a deficiency that was fixable in that moment, we have a crew of people from MNO following us as we go along the path, and they take care of it right away. Whatever is there is things that was going to take more than a day to fix, and so the work orders were put in place. One of the things that we said we are going to try and work earlier this year, and we just got a notice from ICOE this week, and I already sent the invitation. They're going to have a meeting as to when they're going to come in this year. Usually they come in right away in the first week or second week of school, so we have very few time to get the school ready. So we're going to be working with our MNOs team, and I know I sent the invite to Officer Hernandez so he can follow us there and also kind of see what are some of the needs. And the only ones that are a little bit harder to fix are like I mentioned earlier, some of those, the concretes that needs to be fixed. Willie Moreno, the gym, I mean, there's just a lot of work for that school that is pending, and I know that we've talked about it in our facilities updates and how we're going to address one thing at a time. So we do have things in place for that.
So there is a correction action plan.
It's a system in school dude that we do.
Yeah, because I know for a fact that we can submit work orders, but those work orders eventually, they go by priority, and eventually they
Some of them
fall
might
through
take
the
more time,
cracks and so
yeah.
forth, and then we get Williams to comes back,
Mhm.
and these deficiencies aren't taken care of.
Mm.
But it's okay. And the second thing, when do you foresee? I know that HVAC is a big thing right now at the high school. When do you foresee this coming and being offered to our kids?
It is scheduled already for this coming year.
This
I don't have the most updated enrollment, but I know that we have enough students now to open the course.
Yeah, I believe we're up to 2 sessions right now because it's based on student selection, right? So when we do electives, students have the opportunity to select what elective they want to choose. And so I know that Ms. Williams and Mr. Moreno and staff have been working hard at promoting the HVAC program. And so my last understanding is that we're up to 2 sessions right now. And we're also working with IVC and Mr. Victor Torres, to do a partnership with IVC to support our program here at Calexico High School. But we are starting it. These students enrolled, they're signed up for this year coming up in August.
And we've allocated funding in the LCAP for all CT courses and for improvements.
Thank you. That's all.
Mm?
Thank you for that, Lisa. I just had one in regards to school safety plans. Are those already in place for all school sites? Have we did walkthroughs as far as perimeters to make sure that if there is something that our school safety, director notices, is that something that he's also taking into account to do that?
So yes, I believe he's here. But I know that he's met, as this year, at the beginning of the year, he met with the different principals and made some of those walks. They are working on the safety plans. I don't know if Officer Hernandez, you want to come and just share a little bit more of the work you did with the sites this year to make sure that they're safe? Mm-hmm.
So we have, as is coming up, all of our schools have a safety plan, and has been completed and submitted. Our safety plans nowadays do require collaboration with our local law enforcement agency. And so, Mr. Hernandez, if you want to give a brief.
Yes, when I started in December, I kind of took that upon myself to walk the campus. I've done 80% of the campuses so far, and I'm going to finish them this summer. Noticing gaps in fences, obvious stuff that can be easily taken care of. So as soon as I got here, we were already assessing those problems at each individual site, because they're all unique and they all have little, like Aurora High School has a little area that's kind of hidden away, and it's caused a problem because it limits supervision, and we're slowly trying to address those.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
More questions?
Hernandez and
Thank you.
All right,
for the
thank you.
Mr.
presentation.
Ramirez. Thank you. I, consent agenda. All items appearing will be acted upon one motion without discussion unless any item is pulled for separate consideration and action.
Move for
I'd
approval.
like to hold number 3 just for a question.
I move to approve 1, 2, 4, and 5.
I'll second that.
Motion by Mr.
There's a question.
You had a question?
Well, yeah, the question, and this is for Mr. Jimenez.
But there was a, so it was pulled right now for discussion, so
For
we made a
discussion,
motion
so
for
we
one,
gotta
yeah, 1, 2,
Approve
4, and
1,
5.
2, 3, 4.
No, 1, 2, 4, and 5.
Fine, yeah.
Motion by Mr. Alvarado, second by Mr. Contreras. All those in favor say aye.
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 And my question for number 3 is for Mr. Jimenez. Can we just tell me how are we paying this? I mean, there was questions by the public, and I want you, can you tell them who's paying
Sure.
this training?
So this activity right here is completely paid by WASC. Pays for all the travel expenses, the lodging expenses. We don't pay any per diem. We don't pay for meals. We just provided the release time. This opportunity that we have, I call Mr. Price our resident expert in WASC, because when I'll get a little bit ahead of myself and on my brief superintendent's report to share that as of yesterday, I believe it was, or it could have been Tuesday, we got the letter that Calexico High School was got the 6-year WASC accreditation, which is the highest accreditation that we got. As we know, the Robert Morales Adult School, for the first time in our history, got the WASC accreditation with the Robert Morales. I know that Mr. Price was very involved with. So it's a great benefit to us as an organization to have somebody like Mr. Price of his knowledge and experience in the WASC process. So, but the response to your question directly is it's completely paid for by WASC.
Thank you, and that's
Yeah.
all I wanted to know. I mean,
Sure.
and some public wanted to know also.
Sure.
And
It's
I
a
learned that
valid
with
question.
Aurora, with
Yeah.
the Morales
Mhm.
celebration, where he gave us a complete information on what WASC is about and so forth. So,
Absolutely.
thank you. And that's
Who
all I
holds
have.
the fort when Dennis is gone? Who carries the bat and
He's going to
and
have to build
who's-
capacity and
yeah,
train
who's
someone.
in the
and-
batting cage?
That's right. That's right. We actually do have, and there's a few people that I want to thank from Calexico High School for their accreditation. Mr. Steinmetz is one of our WASC chairs, and Mr. Talamantes. They were very heavily involved in the writing of our WASC application and organizing that along with our administrators. So, so there are other people out there that we could also tap into for their expertise and their knowledge in the WASC process as well.
Thank you, Mr. Jimenez. So I make a motion to approve I3. Second by, motion by myself, second by Mr. Calderon. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. J, informational items. Number 1, superintendent's report.
Congratulations to Calexico High School for their 6-year WASC accreditation. It was a great job. I want to thank everyone who was involved in attending those meetings, meeting with the WASC committee. Mr. Talamantes and Mr. Steinmetz are 2 teachers there at Calexico High School for all of their hard work. Mr. Steinmetz also knows a lot about WASC, and we're very, very fortunate to have him and to who supports us and helps us. I do want to thank the board because the board also is made the decision and to support Mr. Steinmetz and Mr. Talamantes by providing them the release time and the extra duty opportunity to write this very critical report and get all the information together and put it all together so that the WASC committee then reviews it and takes it into consideration, and ultimately we got the maximum accreditation. And with that, I just want to wish everybody a happy summer. Hopefully you're able to get a little bit of R&R. Some people are saying no, I'm not going to be able to, but hopefully you're able to get a little bit. And I want to thank the board. There's always challenges and things we got to improve on and things that we're working on. But I also do strongly believe that there's also a lot of things that we can be very proud of and accomplishments and successes that we had in the 23-24 school year. And we're really looking forward to the 24-25 school year. And hitting the ground running in the next couple of months here. So happy summer, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Jimenez. Number 2, board reports. These are informational reports by board members. No action is taken. Mr. Alvarado.
Well, along the same lines, just want to congratulate the high school for the WASC accreditation. Mr. Price, congratulations on being selected once again to go out there and stuff like that. I know there's a lot of work behind that. But if you need somebody to fill in, just let me know and I'll be going out there. Just playing. Thank you all for joining us here tonight. Hope you guys have a happy and safe summer. I know we will be dark next month in July, but have a safe 4th of July with family and friends. And that's pretty much it. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Mr. Calderon?
Thank you, and good evening, and thank you for joining us tonight. Congratulations again for the Calexico High School for their accreditation. Also, I'd like to publicly thank Jesus, Marta, for their cooking today. It was great. I mean, it was hard to see them cooking out there at 115 degrees, and Jose too. Thank you again, and just have a good summer. And one more thing, I've heard a lot of good things about our summer school program, and kudos to all our staff that are.
Thank you. Mr. Pacheco?
Nope. Just have a safe summer. Watch out for your fingers as you light these firecrackers. Make sure you get your fingers back. Have a safe 4th and a restful vacation, and we'll see you back in August. Have a safe summer.
Thank you. Mr. Contreras?
Yeah, just real quick. Thank you, Lisa, for the report. It's very well done, and I think on the deficiencies by school sites that we're looking at, when we take a look at Willie Moreno having 29, Rockwood 19, and 19 for Maine, and 27 for Dual. Some of that stuff, that's stuff that we're already working on. Like in a couple of meetings, we brought in the items for the ACs, the roofs, the windows. So it's the stuff that's already getting replaced. I know that superintendent is moving forward to modifying certain contracts with the city so that when they're using our facilities that they're, paying their fair share towards it. So a lot of that stuff will be taken care of as we move forward. And I think that we've been kind of just hitting those targets and making sure that those things are fixed. I think bringing in the appropriate security to do the reviews and things like that, help us with other things. So if you look at like you said, that the weapons area, like how they're identifying the drug usage, so we, I think, are moving forward in a good mode into correcting some of that stuff. And I appreciate your report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Contreras. I want to thank everyone for being here, and I would like to share a little bit of a trip I made to Washington, D.C. that I went with Mr. Romero and Mrs. Perez and also Mrs. Diaz. It was a great trip. I learned a lot about all the schools to watch. I learned more about our junior high schools, and also I think it was a really great experience to have this quality time with the principal, assistant principal, to learn more about them, what they're doing, the strategies, and also to went ahead and went to the workshop, the presentation of other schools here in Imperial Valley, what they're doing in as well. And I think we just need a little bit more support for our Willie Moreno school, so we can also have them in schools to watch. That's all. Thank you so much. K1, approval of local K action items, consideration and action approval of the following items. Number 1, approval of local control and accountability plan LCAP for 2024-2025 school year.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Alvarado, second by Mr. Contreras. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
When I see the site plans, there's concern with the lack of fidelity in implementing their design. And I'm thinking, if we have the principals doing learning walks and we have our coordinators visiting, doesn't anybody see that there's a lack of what they're supposed to be doing? Don't they get together with staff and revisit and say, when the coordinators go and visit and say, you know what, I didn't see this. Can that happen? Can there be a direct? If there's a visit, there's got to be a report done. What I'm saying is that when they visit, they see something that's not right, it's not aligned. Let's chat with the principal. Let's bring it up. And then during his learning walks, he has an opportunity to see it or not see it. But there needs to be communication between those walks and the coordinator is visiting the sites, that they're making these adjustments and they're seeing or not seeing what should be
Thank
done
you.
in the classroom.
And I think it was kind of like what Mr. Calderon was saying on the corrective action plan, right? So there's some stuff that it gets corrected, but then, you know, where do we see the corrective action plan written?
If I could, if you'd like, I could have Ms. Ramirez give a brief explanation or description of the collaboration that is taking place at all of our school sites with our teachers and our administrators and our district team as well. So, Ms. Ramirez.
Good evening again. So what we do is we have coordinated learning walks where the administrator and then district staff and then our rendered consultants, we all go in. And when we go in, we do observations, we come outside, and then we debrief with the principal, and we see this is what we noticed in these classrooms, and these are things that you need to work on. And make sure that you send an email to your staff on what you noticed were some of the great things that you saw, and what are some of the things that you guys need to work on. So we do address it that way. Now, we don't do walks every month or every week.
I'm saying, do our coordinators visit enough to make contact with the sites and the teachers? And how often does Orenda come? And how often does the principal do his learning walks?
So the principals, and I know that I work with the principals, and Mr. Romero Guerrero works with them, and they are told that they have to do weekly walks every day, try and get into those classrooms. So that is the directive that they're given. The Orenda walks we do once a month, but we target different sites. I know that one of the things that Mr. Jimenez and I had discussed is that he and I are going to be going to the schools every week. That's our commitment for next year. We're going to go every week, visit different schools, different sites until we hit every classroom. Our coordinators are going to do the same for every school, and they're going to go in with the lens of Abbott. So what are we doing with Abbott? So I know that our EL coordinators are going to also be going into those designated ELD classes and going to see what our ELITs are doing in their classes. So I think this year we are all committed to put in some of our time aside and just go to the site so that we're more engaged with what's actually happening in the classroom.
My concern was that 5 schools said that, and says, well, 5 schools are saying that they're not being true to the design or the curriculum, then something's not happening. There's not enough communication between the principals and the coordinators and the teachers. Something
I think the communication is there. What we tell the principals is you need to inspect what you expect. And that is the role of the administrator. At the district office, we go in and we do different days, but we can't be going there on a weekly basis because of everything else that we have to do. But we are going to commit ourselves to going more often than before. Even like a superintendent and I are going to be doing that too, because we want to show and to all of our administrators that that's an expectation that we have for all of us, to be out there, be more visible, and provide the support.
I think we're missing the point here. The correction plan or action plan is a working document. And what you do, you list all the 139 deficiencies. They become matter of record. So every year, you don't even have to go. You just give the copy of the correction action plan to each school, which we're at 13 sites, and they look at it, and then they see what maybe what happened in Blanche Charles might be wrong at Rockwood. So they look and they fix it, or they submit a work order so they can get that problem fixed. So that's how a correction action plan works. Because if you just do the work order, those fall through the cracks and they never get done. So what I'm getting at is that this document becomes like a training tool for every principal to follow and to see and to check if they're within standards of these Williams.
So I'll be working with MNO because that's really the role of MNO. I just do the reporting, but I will make sure that we have something put in place.
Yeah.
I think there's two conversations taking place right now. There's the facilities conversation, which is the 130 deficiencies, and then there's the
instructional.
The instructional conversation, which is You know, but the point has been taken, as far as the monitoring and the collaboration and the communication and you know, working with our sites as far as, you know, filling in, you know, completing those types of that type of work, right? Working with our facilities and addressing those facility things that happen, whether it's and some of it could be, I don't want it, I'm not downplaying anything, but when Williams comes in and they see a stained tile, that's a deficiency, right? So if they walk through a ceiling tile, right? So if they walk through, you know, 50 classrooms and they saw 10 ceiling tiles, that's 10 deficiencies. Some of them are, you know, a lot more serious. If they, you know, concrete that's broken, you know, that we do have that, and that's something we're trying to address. But if they see like a sink that's dripping, you know, that's a deficiency. If the whole room is lit, has lights on, but one light bulb is off in a corner, wherever, that's a deficiency. So definitely not to downplay it, but definitely, you know, things that I think we also could do a better job being proactive to get ready for the Williams visit, that prior to the Williams visit, getting there, we're going through the classrooms, we're checking if there's ceiling tiles that have a stain on it, a water stain, we're seeing if there's a light bulb that's gone out, we're seeing if there's a sink that's leaking, and we're fixing those things prior to the Williams visits, so then that they won't be seen as deficiencies when the team comes through and is marking all that down.
Elisa, one more, just to wrap it up. When I was at the site, I would do like all second grades and all third grades. When I would do those 2 grade levels, I'd get them both in and talk to them personally and chart what I saw, what I missed, student engagement. This was lacking. So an email to me doesn't make it. You need to see the teachers face to face, and this is what I saw. We need to be working on this. Let's do this to be better at getting our end result. But we have enough people, our coordinators and our principals, to do these learning walks. There's the meat and potatoes right there. If they're not seeing it, they're not seeing it. Let's tell our folks.
Okay.
This is our 3rd year, going on our 4th year. Something's missing. That's all.
All
Thank
right.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Ramirez, Mr. Jimenez. We did approve number 1, right? Number 2, approval of 2024-2025 adopted budget and estimated actuals.
Move for approval.
Motion by Mr. Contreras, second by Mr. Calderon. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Number 3, approval of early literacy support block grant annual report.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Calderon, second by Mr. Alvarado. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Number 4, approval of the arts, music, and instructional materials discretionary one-time block grant plan for Calexico Unified School District expiring in the 2025-26 school year.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Mr. Alvarado, second by Mr. Contreras. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Number 5, employment agreement between Calexico Unified School District and Romel Guerrero as the Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources and Risk Management for a term commencing July 1st, 2024 and continuing to June 30th, 2026 at the Assistant Superintendent Salary Schedule Step 4 and Health and Welfare Benefit Package of the Certificated Unit.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Contreras, second by myself. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Number 6, employment agreement between Calexico Unified School District and Luis de la Torre as the Assistant Superintendent of Business Service for a term commencing July 1st, 2024 and continuing to June 30th, 2027 at the Assistant Superintendent Salary Schedule Step 1 and the Health and Welfare Benefit Package of the Classified Unit.
Move for approval with the comment.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Contreras.
Yeah,
Go
the,
ahead.
yeah, the comment is that they're still on step 1. They're not moving on a step just yet. You know, because he was just recently hired, right?
That is
So
correct.
it's to July. There's no increase in pay at this point.
Yeah, that is correct. And just for full disclosure, we had made a typo and we had put moving in a step at July 1st of 2024. But in the packet, what the board is approving, that typo has been fixed. And it's actually July 1st, 2025. So it's been addressed. We picked up on that error earlier and prior to the board meeting, and speaking with Mr. La Torre, and we addressed that.
Because it's appropriately listed on the supporting documentation
Yes,
with the right date.
with the right dates. Correct.
So there is a motion by Mr. Contreras, second by Mr. Alvarado. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I abstain from.
Number
abstention.
7. Oh, abstain.
Mr. Calderon,
Mi-
Mr. Calderon.
Abstained by Mr. Calderon. Number 7, employment report, employment agreement between Calexico Unified School District and Elisa Ramirez as the Assistant Superintendent of Instructional Service for a term commencing July 1st, 2024, and continuing to June 30th, 2026 at the Assistant Superintendent Salary Schedule, Step 10, and the Health and Welfare Benefit Package of the Certificated Unit.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Contreras, second by Mr. Pacheco. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Number 8, agreement renewal between Calexico Unified School District and Navigate 360. Alice, alert, lockdown, inform, counter, evacuate to provide staff training.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Pacheco, second by Mr. Alvarado. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Number 9, agreement renewal between Calexico Unified School District and Lexia Learning Systems LLC for ELD software licenses for the 2024-2025 school year.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Contreras, second by Mr. Alvarado. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Number 10, agreement renewal between Calexico Unified School District and Presence Learning for the provision of speech services from July 1, 2024 to June 30th, 2025.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Pacheco, second by Mr. Contreras. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Number 11, we're gonna be pulling number 11. That's it.
And table.
Table,
Yeah, and then table it, make a motion?
make a motion to table item 11.
I'll
Okay.
second.
Motion by Mr. Pacheco, second by Mr. Alvarado. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Number 12, agreement between Calexico Unified School District and Wireless PMP to provide fiber optic connectivity to the press box at Warfield.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Pacheco, second by Mr. Contreras. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Number 13, agreement between Calexico Unified School District and University of Massachusetts Global for internship programs for school psychology, July
Wow.
1st, 2024 through July 1st, 2029.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Pacheco, second by Mr. Alvarado. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Number 14, agreement between Calexico Unified School District and AMPAC to provide tutoring services to students enrolled at 2 elementary schools for 2024-2025 school year.
Move for approval.
Second.
Question,
Go ahead.
our tutors are coming from the county or coming from,
Yeah, these are AmeriCorps tutors. It's
AmeriCorps.
under the same
Oh.
umbrella. Yes. They're just kind of like different programs, but under the same umbrella of AmeriCorps.
okay.
There was a motion by Mr. Contreras, second by Mr. Alvarado. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Number 15, memorandum of understanding renewal between Calexico Unified School District and the Imperial County Office of Education for AmeriCorps Borderlands program during the 2024-2025 school year.
So move.
Second.
I have a question. How does every school, do they get interviewed? Do they get picked? Do they get, how does it work?
For the actual tutors?
Yeah.
Yeah, Ms. Price will provide that information.
Good evening, Brisa Huerta Price, Director of State and Federal Projects. So we do not hire the AmeriCorps tutors. We contract with ICOE. They hire, they interview, they pay. We just pay the fee to ICOE.
How do they get selected to go to the site? Does the principal request them, or how does that work?
So the principal did make the request, but they request the number of tutors they would like, and then ICOE will place them based on what the principal requested. So like at the high school, they wanted some math tutors. That request was made to Ms. Bell at ICOE, and so when she's looking at her AmeriCorps tutors, she'll select those that have high school experience or want to work with a high school and are experienced in math, and that's how they will be placed.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
There was a motion by
By me, second by.
Mr. Alvarado, second by Mr. Contreras? Or-
No, it was a motion by Contreras and seconded by.
Okay, motion by Contreras, second by Mr. Alvarado. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Number 16, memorandum of understanding between Calexico Unified School District and Big Smiles, California for dental services.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Pacheco, second by Mr. Contreras. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Number 17, memorandum of understanding between Calexico Unified School District and Calexico Mission School, Our Lady of Guadalupe Academy, and Vincent Memorial High School for scope of services and products during the 2024-2025 school year.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Alvarado, second by Mr. Contreras. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Number 18, memorandum of understanding between Calexico Unified School District and Imperial County Office of Education for inter-district digital workflow for the 2024-2025 school years.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Alvarado, second by Mr. Contreras. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Number 19, approve professional development between Calexico Unified School District and San Diego County Office of Education to district administrators for targeted feedback on August 8 and 9, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Alvarado, second by Mr. Pacheco. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 20, recognition of Booster Club Calexico Softball Pride for fiscal year 2024-2025.
So moved.
Motion
Second.
by Mr. Alvarado, second by Mr. Pacheco. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Number 21, recognition of Booster Club Calexico Club de Football for fiscal year 2024-2025.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Alvarado, second by myself. All those in favor say aye.
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 22, approval of Agriculture Career Technical Education Incentive Grant for 2024-2025 school year.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Alvarado, second by myself. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Number 23, preliminary single plans for student achievements, SPSA, for 2024-2025 for the following schools: Bland Charles Elementary, Cesar Chavez Elementary, Dual Elementary, Jefferson Elementary, Kennedy Gardens Elementary, Mains Elementary, Rockwood Elementary, Enrique Camarena Junior High, William Moreno Junior High, and Calexico High.
So
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Contreras, second by Mr. Pacheco. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Number 24, variable term waiver Ed Code 44265.3 for Cindy Yepes, speech and language pathologist for the 2024-2025 school year.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Contreras, second by myself. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Number 25, resolution regarding disposition of surplus asset, non-asset technological equipment at William Moreno Junior High School.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Alvarado, second by Mr. Contreras. Alvarado,
Yes.
Calderon,
Yes.
Pacheco,
Yes.
Contreras.
Yes.
Myself, yes. And L, reconvenience to earlier closed session. We'll be back at 10. Thank you.
Good thinking.